Well, hello. It is the PHN Pittsburgh Penguins postgame. Thanks for everyone for joining us. I know it's kind of an odd time. No one goes at 10:15, and I'm scrambling around here because I just finished the postgame. I just social media'd everything, and I just published the post to alert others that we're going with the postgame here. The Penguins obviously not at their best, not very sharp at all, losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1 at Scotiabank Arena. You could tell right away, couldn't you? You could just feel, you could tell from the puck drop. The Penguins were missing something on Thursday night. Now, we're going to dive into this chat, and your opinions are going to be well taken and considered. If this game was a harbinger of things to come, or is this a one-off? I'm a little bit on the fence. I am leaning towards the harbinger. I thought Toronto was able to attack the Penguins. I thought they outskated the Penguins. I thought they looked like a younger version of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They finished their chances. They had no fear in swarming the puck and breaking to the net. They played with a certain ill intent, and I don't mean that physically, but an ill intent to get to the net, to get that puck, to get a goal. They meant business. They were playing for keeps, whereas I think far too often at this point, the Penguins lack that sort of eye of the tiger on the puck. Yes, they've been hard on the puck. Yes, they are fast and they provide pressure. But I think Toronto showed a whole nother level on Thursday night. And that's kind of, and I think that's a bit worrisome for the Penguins because it really exposed a couple spots in their lineup that they're going to have to count on. Give me one quick second here. I appreciate you all jumping on. I hope the sound is okay. If it's not, drop me a little note here on the comments and let me know. I'm going to let Twitter know that we are live right now. And I do appreciate you all hopping on board. So, where do we start with that game? Because to me, it was like peeling an onion, and I could start on several levels. And I'm doing this off the cuff. My notebook is 10 feet away. In fact, give me 1 second. You're like, Kingerski's unprepared. I'm going to say you're right. Not so much unprepared as playing catch up, just a little bit. So let's start with, I think, the biggest issue. And I understand that the Penguins will say they had 46 shots on goal. I understand the Penguins will be very happy with, with the amount of pucks they put to the net. Jack Campbell made a lot of good saves, taking nothing away from the Toronto Maple Leafs goal. He had to make a few grade A saves as well. However, how many second chances did the Penguins get? How often were they in his kitchen with great shots? Where there was traffic, where there was chaos, where there was, the Penguins had, 1-2-on-1 when Jeff Carter was stopped? And I guess kind of the next big Jeff Carter chance, Evgeni Malkin buried. I thought Jeff Carter played very well, by the way. Big Jeff Carter. In fact, I think he might have been the Penguins' best forward, Penguins' best player on Thursday night. Let me, in case you haven't been following PHN or you're like, what the hell were these lines? Here were the Penguins' lines tonight. And I was very surprised that Sullivan went with Jeff Carter on the left wing. Incredibly surprised. And let's see here. I actually have to think about it. Who was on the third line? with Rodriguez and Kapanen. It was McGinn. That's who it was. And, of course, you have the usual fourth-line suspects. So, there we go. So there were the lines tonight. Obviously, these two lines are the issues with the Penguins right now. Sullivan probably hit on something with Carter and Malkin, at least for one game. I thought Jeff Carter was really good. Although, in Carter's rise, how good or bad was Evgeni Malkin? Did you really notice Malkin too much on Thursday night? He had a ton of shots, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Penguins had, let me see here. How many shots did Malkin have? Drum roll, please. He had 6 in 17:45 of ice time. The Penguins had 5 power plays, though. So really, he should have 4 or 5 shots on a night in which the Penguins get that many power play chances. So I don't know if I really credit Malkin for a great game with 6 shots. And by the way, if those of you just dropping by, make sure to subscribe somewhere down here and also like the video if you could. Yeah, gaming with Gio, you are absolutely right. So many turnovers these dudes were passing to the other team. Get this statistic. And I love when scorekeepers actually track turnovers. If I have a little bit of a quibble with a lot of scorekeepers around the National Hockey League, they really protect their players in the turnover statistic. They really do. Toronto tonight, the scorekeepers there, tagged the Penguins with 19 turnovers. That's brutal. 19. And that doesn't count the 11 Toronto Maple Leafs takeaways. So in all told, in the total, the Penguins lost 30 pucks on Thursday night. That cannot be. Now, part of that, a large part of that, I think. No, the Penguins were not sharp. But Toronto, did you notice how they attacked? They really, I thought, had a really smart game plan. They knew when and where to attack. They went after Chris Letang at the blue line when he would go vertical, or I don't know, like horizontal, whatever you want to call it. When he would skate, kind of walk the blue line, they were all over him. They were just, Kampf especially was just in his grill. They did that at neutral ice too. They did that in the offensive and defensive zone. Toronto had no fear. They knew they could skate with the Penguins. Don't underestimate the fact that the Penguins blew them out earlier this season. The Penguins shut them out in November. Toronto's starting to look to bigger things. And this is how it goes. You see a team like the Penguins, you're like, how good are we, guys? Let's go find out. And they went after it with a plum. Not a plum, but a plum. Or maybe it is a plum. So Carter and Malkin were the best line with Danton Heinen, who quietly, moved the puck around. Heinen's tough to notice on a lot of nights. He certainly doesn't throw a lot of hits. He certainly doesn't make himself known unless he's putting the puck in the net, but he was fine. That line was the best Penguins line. They had, according to Natural Stat Trick, the Evgeni Malkin line had 10 scoring chances. They allowed just 3. The Crosby line only had 7 scoring chances and allowed 6. So in terms of differential, obviously the Malkin Carter line was very good. I'm still not sure how effective it was, but they were the best and they were pretty good. Evan Rodriguez, let's talk about Erod here because I might break Jim Colony's heart. I'm really starting to wonder where Erod's game went. That guy who was just dominating the puck in the first half of the season, that guy who was toe dragging around defensemen and looking for every inch of ice with which to shoot has regressed terribly. I think that's a problem for the Penguins. I mean, look, call me a fool. I thought Rodriguez had found the magic serum. I thought he'd found that fountain of hockey youth and was really having that career turn that so many teams had hoped he would have. I guess the Penguins being that team twice. And now here we are, 18 games going back to his last goal. He last scored January 6th. 18 games without a goal. He has just 3 points in that time. 2 assists in 1 game. So if you want to look at it even worse, he's scored in 2 of the last 18 games. That means he's scoreless in 16 of the last 18. As I wrote in the PHN Plus story on Rodriguez, that's Planet Hoth cold. The Penguins need more. The Penguins need to get him going. The Penguins need to get Kasperi Kapanen going. Otherwise, there's this black hole in the middle of their lineup. And you saw tonight exactly what can happen when you've got that black hole in your lineup, whereas Toronto could roll 4 lines and attacked with 4 lines. They went after the Penguins. The Penguins were having difficulty getting that rollover, that sustained offensive pressure from one line to the next. When one line's just soiling the bed, that resets everything. And that means one line has to dig out of their own zone and get it going the other way. Now, look, Zach Aston Reese, Brian Boyle, Dominic Simone have been very good for the Penguins. I think much better than any fourth line, we expected with those 3. I think they've been almost the equal of Teddy Bluger on that fourth line. And Brian Boyle brings some attributes that Teddy Boyle can't bring. So, they've been really good. But if you're relying on the fourth line, and did you see, by the way, let me see if I've got, I'm a little short on pictures tonight, and I apologize. There. We'll put up Czar. I'm figuring this little setup out. I actually found a hack to allow me to do this in the home studio-ish. What the heck was I talking about? I'm just going to get to your questions. Anyway, the fourth line, I think that's where I was. And they've been fine, but you notice Mike Sullivan had the fourth line on the ice with 2 minutes to go. Down 4-1, he has the fourth line on the ice. Let me tell you something. You might not have noticed it, but I guarantee the bench noticed it, and they're talking about that in the locker room, or they're muttering or they're murmuring about it. Mike Sullivan sent a message to his team that those guys earned it, and maybe some of you haven't. Because there's Evan Rodriguez and Kasperi Kapanen watching the fourth line out there in an offensive situation. There's Evgeni Malkin and Jeff Carter as well, looking at those guys. And I think it was a message from Sullivan. I really do, and it's nothing that maybe they'll talk about publicly. I'm sure if I asked Sullivan about it, I would get the answer, well, I was just putting out the line that we thought could get the job done. And that line is both a cliche and very appropriate in this case. That's how good the Penguins' fourth line has been. They've had a goal every game until Thursday night, and they've been very suppressive. They've been physical. They've been effective. What to do with Evan Rodriguez and Kasperi Kapanen? That's got to start vexing Ron Hextall just a little bit coming up to the trade deadline. If the Penguins have a hope of riding off into the sunset with that Stanley Cup, or at least riding off into the sunset not getting spanked in the first round, as has been the case the past 3 years, they have to have a good third line. That has been the key to the key to the key. Last year, when I thought they outplayed the New York Islanders, except for the goaltending position, Jeff Carter was the third line center, and Carter had a whale of a series. Evgeni Malkin on one leg had a whale of a series in the second line, too. You need your top 9 scoring in the playoffs if you're going to have any success. You need the top 9. You need the defensemen to do their parts, and you need your goaltending. I think they've got the goaltending. I think the defense is adequate. So the top 9. Let me get to the comments here. I know you've all hopped on here, and I apologize for not diving in sooner. Hey, Brandon, Malkin can't carry a line by himself anymore. Needs more talent with him. Sid can still carry a line. Carter wouldn't be bad on Sid's wing, too. Give me Bill Guerin and Kunitz vibes. I don't know. Carter is not... Carter is a guy who plays with the puck, and so is Evgeni Malkin. If Sidney Crosby would drop back to being a scorer, maybe? No, I do think Carter Malkin is better than Carter Crosby. Although, if you want to really jumpstart Evgeni Malkin, he and Jake Gensel were pretty darned good a year and a half ago, weren't they? Let's see here. Zucker hasn't fit with Malkin. Zucker hasn't fit with anybody in terms of scoring. Zucker's game is Zucker's game. It's fast. Got a bit of grit to it. It's also a bit perimeter. He hasn't really done the things necessary to score goals, but he's done a lot of other things. I think the Penguins lineup does miss him. I think they're getting some of that with Brock McGinn in a scoring capacity in the top 9, but Jason Zucker would be a significant step forward there. Okay. Simone needs to play higher up on his hind key. IQ is way high to play with guys on the fourth. Oh, you're saying Simone's too smart to play fourth line. Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, Simone's got a great hockey IQ. He's just got that way of moving the puck and getting scoring chances flowing. But if you don't finish, maybe fourth line is. And look what the fourth line has done. Right? Simone had a couple of good chances tonight. Maybe fourth line, contributing offense is where Dominic Simone fits. For $750,000 on a 2-way contract, you take that every day of the week. But, maybe he's not top-line stuff. Is there anything new the Penguins are pursuing at the trade deadline? Jason C. asks. Net front presence on both sides of the puck, please. Well, Jason, I'll put it to you this way. The minute I have anything credible to report, believe me, I will. I'm not going to bury it in a live chat. I'd like to tell you, there are a couple things. Now, this is me spitballing. This is not me reporting, okay? Clear delineation. By the way, check out this watch I got. Looks a little bit yellow, I think, with the studio light. But it's actually a nice white. It's from a micro brand in Laurel, Maryland. The guy just got tired of buying watches and started his own company. So I got me a Panda with all the bells and whistles for what a normal fashion watch would cost you. Not quite at Walmart, but you know how I like watches. And I got a nice little cut there from finishing some furniture. Anywho, back to hockey. This is me spitballing. I intentionally did that. I wanted to drag out the difference between reporting and just... I continue to think Jeff Petrie, or there's a couple other right-siders who are available. And bear with me, just give me a second to jog my memory. In fact, I think my little hockey boys sent it to me. Yeah, Manson and Colin Miller in Buffalo. If the Penguins can get their hands on any of those guys, I think it would be wise to do so. Yeah, it does. You know what, Jay Plan? Yeah, it does kind of looks like the tag Octavia a little bit, doesn't it? Although it also has a little bit of a Breitling. It kind of has the ridges there too. But yeah, I was pretty happy. If you want, I'll post a link. It's called a SO, TSAO, like I guess General Tso's chicken, but. It's pretty comfy. It just arrived today, so I'm kind of breaking in the band and everything. I think the Penguins could use a right side defenseman. However, perhaps this middle six has taken the top priority. Maybe I need to rethink that. That if they have limited assets to spend, that chasing a Colin Miller isn't the most important thing. That maybe you do ride with Chad Ruedel if you can get a middle six winger who can score. If you can get a middle six center you can rely on in the playoffs to chip in some offense. I think that's Jeff Carter. So I think a winger would do the trick. But these are things that obviously Hextall is going to wrestle with. I think at this point Casey DeSmith falls down to the third tier in terms of need. If you have to go into the playoffs, you just hope to gosh that Tristan Jarry stays healthy and Jarry keeps that chip on his shoulder. If you have to go into the playoffs, you hope Chad Ruedel remains steady. He's been steady all year. Steady, unspectacular, but steady nonetheless. What do you think Pens do at the trade deadline? Think middle six might be? Yeah, I guess I'm talking about that, Shane. I just saw your question now. Sorry. Yeah, and I'm starting to think that it is. I mean, of course, tomorrow that switch could flip with Kasperi Kapanen, right? And that problem gets solved, and you can go back to focusing on the defense. If I were in the GM chair, though, I tend to think I would not count on Kasperi Kapanen flipping that switch. It's just been his career arc. Up, down, up, down, up, down, and this is the down. Robert, hey, how are you? Gino, 15 points in 15 games coming off major knee surgery. Why all the talk about jump-starting him? The hater's gonna hate, I guess. Well, yeah, I mean, look, Malkin is gobbling up. Malkin is gobbling up a lot of power play points. At 5-on-5, he's been underwater a lot with Kapanen, with everybody. So when people talk about jump-starting Malkin, it's that 5-on-5 presence that's been missing from Malkin's game. Obviously, the Penguins' power play has soared in the 18 or 19 games that he's played, but it's been at even strength where Malkin has been progressing. Excuse me. Okay, Now, guys, also don't forget, Malkin sat out a year, basically. He played 4 games in May last year. But he didn't play from mid-March to mid-January. Look at the difference in Brian Boyle's skating over the last 5 games. Since the All-Star break, Boyle has a hop in his step. It really does take more than 10 games to really find your stride and your rhythm and those muscles return. You can skate in practice all day. You can skate for 3 hours. I once watched Rick Tocchet when he was an assistant coach with the Colorado Avalanche 15 years ago. I once watched him as part of Joe Sakic's rehab just bag skate him at the old Civic Arena. I mean, I was supposed to interview Rick Tocchet afterwards, and Tock just bag skated Sakic. I was ready to throw up for him. Sakic's out there gasping, and Tocchet's like, "Go!" And it was quite a scene. And the funny thing is, sitting in the stands was Jay Caulfield. He would yell down to Tocchet, "Have him do this, have him do that." And I'm sure Sakic's like, "I'll kill you. I'll kill you." You can do that all day. You can do that for weeks. You're not in game shape. So Malkin has had to do all of that to get his timing back. It really does take a month of game action when you're out this long. It just does. I'm not really excusing everything Malkin has done. He's made some bad decisions, but he's also made a lot of good plays and good decisions, and it's all just part of the process. Brandon says, exactly, Dan. Whatever I said right, cheers to me. Hey, Nick. Team looked great, but we have lost all depth. Erod, I haven't noticed him. Cappy, there's flashes, but no points. Heinen's been so-so. McGinn has been slow, kind of scary, if you ask me. I don't think McGinn's been slow at all. McGinn is what he is. Look, if you're asking Brock McGinn to play a top 6 role, you're kind of taking the family station wagon and putting it in a NASCAR race. That's not his game. Or I should say you're taking a Jeep and putting it in a NASCAR race, because McGinn is fast, he's tenacious, but he's not a guy you should be counting on for offense. You just shouldn't be. It was a matter of necessity to put him up there on the second line. Logan said, man, Malkin Letang had a rough night. Yes. When I do the report card here for tomorrow morning, it'll be up at 6 a.m. unless I fall asleep. Again, last night, literally mid-sentence, what did I write this morning? Anyway, whatever I was writing last night, somewhere around 2:30 in the morning, just, I was gone. For the report card, I will talk about Chris Letang. He's been really up and down, I think, over the last, 15 games. Obviously, tonight gets caught on the pinch, and then a minute later, the turnover behind the net. A couple other pinches, too, were not so great. Brian Dumoulin got walked twice again. He's getting walked more than a yappy dog. That's concerning. That really is concerning if you're the Penguins, because Dumoulin has been the anchor for everything. He's been the building block, the cornerstone that allowed Chris Letang to do the things, the freelancing that Chris Letang does. Dumoulin's steady presence has bailed out goaltenders for years now, but he is 31. Whether he's injured, whether he's slowing down, I think that has to be a little bit of a concern for the Penguins. Look, Brian Dumoulin is not going to age well. He's just not going to age well because he's not a fast guy to begin with. So when that first half step slips, his game's going to be greatly affected. When then that full step slips, you're going to start calling him Rob Scuderi Part 3. That's not a knock on Dumoulin. It's just that's his game, and it's gonna, that's the progression on the arc that you're going to see. Brandon, I can't go back and look at 10:39. The time is not here on my chat board. So if you want to repeat your statement, I'll take a look. Nick says 100% agree. McGinn has been great. He's a great penalty killer. Oh, you worded it wrong. Okay, yeah. Isn't Dumo 29? Is he 29 or 31? Give me a second here. Working off the cuff. Brian Dumoulin. Drafted in 2009. He is 30. We'll split the difference. He turned 30 in September. So he's going to turn 31 before next season. So I guess I was over the actual retail price. So if this were the price is right, Nick, you'd win. Bear with me, a lot of this talking. My throat isn't quite prepared. He's 30. 1991. No, he is 31. Yeah, I was right. Google is wrong. Here, let me see if I can. Right here, Google did the math wrong. No. Google did the math right. Here I thought I had Google in a mistake. Nope. He'll turn 31 in September. My point remains valid, though, right? That he's not a guy who can afford to lose a step, and right now he doesn't have that step, which is certainly worrisome for the Penguins. What else you want to talk about? I don't know what else to say about Erod, Evan Rodriguez and Kasperi Kapanen, other than the Penguins need more there. They badly. You can get away with not getting much from Danton Heinen. You can get away with Brock McGinn not contributing a lot of offense. You can even get away with Zach Aston-Reese having one goal this season because he's so good defensively, and that fourth line is creating goals. But guys who are paid to score should score. The Penguins, at the trade deadline, I don't know how to get into this because I'm hearing some things about the Penguins' prospects. It's not all flattering. When you hear scouts say, well, they're playing better, that's not a ringing endorsement of where the Penguins are with prospects. Perhaps they should make a move while they can. And I think Ron Hextall has been very good with prospects, letting them grow into the NHL. So much of our discussions, though, hinge and rest on what the heck the Penguins are going to do contractually with Evgeni Malkin, Chris Letang, and Brian Rust. Brian Rust seems like a goner, right? The Penguins can't afford him, but I'll put it to you, Greg. How can the Penguins not afford to sign Brian Rust? That line is 40% of their offense. And I will not sit here as you badmouth the United States of America, said the guy wearing the Canada shirt. Animal House reference, by the way. Some colleagues and I were talking about this. There seems to be a resignation which has created a looseness amongst the Penguins. A resignation that this is the end. And I'm not saying it's the end, I'm not reporting it. I'm saying those of us who cover the team, we're discussing that in fact there seems to be a major league, they have the locker room meeting and they say, well, let's just go for it. There seems to be that kind of attitude, especially with Brian Rust. Brian Rust crashing press conferences, having fun, poking Evan Rodriguez. Hey, who's your favorite Penguin? And why is it me? All of those little things, Rust has been loose this year. All of those little arrows kind of make you believe that you're seeing the last of Evgeni Malkin and Chris Letang and Brian Rust in a Penguins sweater. For better or worse. So when we talk about trade deadline, when we talk about all these issues, it's kind of it all sort of has a root in what Ron Hextall, Brian Burke, and the Fenway Group, I suppose, are going to do about it. Do I think the Penguins miss Bluger? And when he comes back, who comes out? Okay, you know what? I like that question, Logan. Obviously Teddy Bluger is a very good depth center. But look how well Brian Boyle, Simone, and Aston-Reese are playing. From that standpoint, I don't think there's been much of a drop-off. Maybe some of the utilizations. I don't think the Penguins are putting Brian Boyle against top lines quite like they would Teddy Bluger. That's a little bit of a difference. That adds a little bit of a workload to Sidney Crosby. Give me a second here just to take a big drink. My throat is really just kind of getting irritated with all of this. How long have we been going? 35 minutes. I suppose a carbonated beverage was not the way to go. Nor were the, I don't know how many cups of coffee I had today. So let's kind of run the scenario here. When Teddy Bluger does come back, obviously your top line remains the same. Keep 71 in the middle. I'm going to move Jeff Carter back to center here before long. I don't think that experiment lasts forever. So I think Brian Boyle stays in. I think he moves. Boy, where does he move? Part of as I'm playing with this, That's a really great question, Logan, because I don't have any easy answers. Actually, the players are not making it easy. It would be very easy if Kasperi Kapanen flipped the switch and were playing well. You put him on the second line with Evgeni Malkin, and let's play with the full boat, shall we? Who's your third line left wing? How about Brock McGinn with Jeff Carter and Danton Heinen? Carter and Heinen seem to have a little bit of a chemistry, right? So then we go 12, 53, and I'm going to throw you a curveball here. And here's the curveball I throw you. What do you think of that? Putting Radim Zohorna into the lineup. I'm starting to wonder if his time isn't coming. I'm wondering if his time isn't about now. He's a better player in the NHL than he is in the AHL. He's starting to figure out the NHL game. I don't know who else I scratched. Let me see here. Oh, I scratched Evan Rodriguez. That's I think I was the first person I scratched. And I scratched Dominic Simone. So in reality, you put 49 down there, I think. Or maybe you put 9. You can pick any of those 3. That's where I'm at with that. What about O'Connor? Yeah, Drew's a solid option. I don't think Drew is better than Simone, Zohorna, or Evan Rodriguez, though. He might be, or he might have hit his ceiling. I don't know where O'Connor's ceiling is. He worked really hard. He took a big step forward. Don't forget, when O'Connor came back, he was kind of vanilla till he got hurt again. He's a solid player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bagging the kid, but I am saying, his hot start was just that. And once things calmed down and settled down, sorry. This is, I guess, a true late night chat. We're probably gonna go another 10 minutes. If you guys want to keep going, let me blast. Give me a few more likes too, so Facebook likes the video. I'm going to put this out there. Or in fact, you know what? I'm going to put out the article. That way people have to click on it. I like when people have to click on the website. That's what pays the bills. I don't know what to do about the Penguins' turnovers. I'm not sure there's anything they really can do. When they simplify their game, when they add the speed and the tenacity, everything seems to bloom from that. When the Penguins are trying to play a more complicated game, look, the NHL has changed. The NHL has absolutely changed. Things are straightforward now. You don't have a lot of East-West players on rosters anymore. You just don't. So when the complications begin, the Penguins start to play creatively, other teams just attack. They can skate with the Penguins. That big advantage, Oh, Brandon says make Blueger the third line center. Yeah, but then what do you do with Zucker? I think it's going to be interesting what the Penguins do. What would I do at the deadline? That's a little bit unfair. I really shouldn't answer that because I don't want to start playing GM. That's not my job. And when I start saying things, people start reporting that I said things. And so I have to be a little bit careful about that. I do think if he's healthy, I think Jason Zucker would be a trade chip that the Penguins would move if given the ability. I don't know that they have the ability. I don't know that, perhaps Montreal likes him and the Penguins could pry something out of the Canadians, I think Zucker would fit very well with the Canadians, with their youth and kind of what they need, some speed and some grit on the wings and some want to and stick-to-itiveness and all of that. Yeah, I think Zucker would be a very good fit in Montreal. Or I've also often thought that maybe the Penguins would find a fit with Anaheim. Some speed and grit for some scoring. I think Anaheim has some of that to give. I don't know. I honestly, believe me, I have tried. I worked the bean pot like a maniac. I was hitting everybody up. Hey, what are you hearing? What are you thinking? What do you know? Nothing. Nothing. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. So any Penguins plans will remain hidden and secretive until they get to the point where I find out from the other team, which is what happened last year. We found out from around the league, not from Pittsburgh. John Maxwell, when Sid and Gino were younger, they could both dominate. Now they contribute but don't dominate. In the past, when both scored, the Penguins usually won. Yeah, I don't think Sid or Evgeni have really lost anything, especially Sid. I don't think Sid's lost. Well, I take that back. Yes, Sid has probably lost a step. Only because he was so ridiculously good. I think he's stronger than he was, but maybe not quite as quick. But he still does all of the Sidney Crosby things. I think the game is caught up. I think players grew up like Austin Matthews idolizing Sidney Crosby, and now guys can do some of the things that he does, whereas 10 years ago they couldn't. There is a little bit of game catch-up there. So so can they dominate? No, I don't think any player can really dominate a game, right? Even on McDavid's best night, and we saw one of those a couple months ago when he was kind of tearing up the Penguins. Even on his best night, he doesn't dominate. He can't dominate. Like a younger Sidney Crosby did. Like a Jaromir Jagr did. Like Mario, Wayne, so on. It's just the game is too good now. Everybody's too big. The space is too small. The game is too fast. You cannot possibly dominate like players of old. I will not be channel surfing between the Pens game and the Daytona 500. I have completely fallen out of NASCAR. I can't tell you who drives what anymore. I can't. They have lost me. The final straw for me in NASCAR, Jason, was these segments. Okay, we're going to race 100 laps and we're going to stop for 15 minutes and play some commercials. Why? What the hell's that? That just drives me nuts. Oh, he's trying to win the segment. Yeah. Race. They should cut NASCAR races to about 300 miles. These behemoths, 500 miles, 4-hour races because yellow flags are longer than they've ever been. I can only watch so many beer and boner pill commercials. I mean, come on. And especially the Daytona 500, one parade, one pack of ants or swarm of bees just going around and around the track. I am much more an IndyCar guy and a Formula One guy. Just in some of my Sundays when I get to watch F1 in the morning and then Indy in the afternoon, I'm quite happy. And those races, by the way, 2 hours. Done. You're gone. Except for the Indy 500, which takes about 3 hours. I have things to do. Let's go. Let's get on with this. Hexie and Burke are a lot more quiet than Rutherford was. They really are. I mean, Hextall really prides himself on keeping things quiet. For better or worse. Nick asks if Rutherford tipped off Josh. I'll let you figure that one out, okay? Those two had a very good relationship. And that was just born of, some guys click. An interesting idea, put Malkin on Crosby's wing for a couple of games when Bluger is back and Carter second line center. Logan, I think I don't know if you were with me a couple months ago, I advocated that very thing. If not, on Crosby's wing, put Carter to second line center and Malkin to the wing. The one thing I think you saw tonight, I'm going to wrap up on this thought. The picture, is this the picture I used? Yes. Let me, here, the picture for this story that I posted. Right there is Evgeni Malkin trying to get into the middle of the ice. And he couldn't do it. Not because, he's not good enough, but because there was too many bodies there. Oh, where are we going here? To get Malkin on the wing would be to get him outside and around the defense. Would get him the puck in different spaces on the ice, maybe more dangerous spaces. I think that would be good for Evgeni Malkin. I'm not saying his time is done by any means, but I do think he could have a bit of a resurgence, like Claude Giroux. I think he might be elevated on the wing and just let rip, kid. Just blast and blast and blast away. That might solve the Penguins' middle six problems. But I don't think Mike Sullivan agrees. And, as I don't really get a vote, do I? Do I offer any internship programs for Pittsburgh hockey now or hockey in general? Am I hiring? I do, actually. I have tried in the past. Most of them have not worked out. I get very frustrated with you youngins when I give you a task and I went out with friends last night. Oh, that's nice. You're fired. Not the first time, but like the second time you displease me. I don't have time to babysit people. I really don't. However, Owen Krebs of RMU asked for an internship. And dude is crushing it now as the Vegas Golden Knights beat writer. He's gonna be a star in the future. In fact, we've got 3 great young kids on the National Hockey Now Network: Owen in Vegas, Sammy Silber in Washington, and a complete I don't want to call it an accidental find, but Stefan Rossner in New York has just blown us away. He wasn't quite ready last year. He was assisting our other beat writer, Christian Arnold, with the Islanders. And, we were kind of like, hey, maybe he's not quite ready. But he, like a player, he took that step forward this year, and he started impressing us. And when Christian wanted to go cover basketball for a New York outlet, we were like, okay. And we did a search, and we gave Stefan a chance, and he's been crushing it in New York, too. We've been very happy with the kids. So, Brandon, if you want an internship, first of all, I assume you're in college. Send me over some of the stuff you've done. I assume you've written for the school paper or you're writing for some blogs. Happy to take a look, see where you stand on things. If we can get you some school credit for the summer or the fall, we'll certainly investigate. You'll have to pay for your own parking downtown once a week when you come to the office. Or park for free and take the T down to First Avenue. My office is actually right across the Smithfield Street Bridge. Interesting location. I thought there was a Pepe's there, but the Pepe's is out of business. Went out of business during the pandemic. I was like, damn it. There was the sign there, so I rented the place, and there's no Pepe's. I wanted the cheesesteak. Okay, kids, that's 50 minutes for me. Like, subscribe, and share, please, and thank you. All right, well, I've got some stuff you're going to be very interested in tomorrow. You're going to be like, whoa, Dan's dropping some hot takes. And between Friday and Saturday, I'm going to have some heavyweight stuff for you. But you have to wait for it. All right, cheers, kids.